This is Plant-Based Briefing, Penny's Eulogy by Geoff Regier, and I'm your host, Marian Erickson. And Plant-Based Briefing is the curated content plant-based podcast where I narrate posts with permission on a variety of topics related to healthy, compassionate, and sustainable living in about 10 minutes or less every weekday. Today's post is by Geoff Regier. He's an animal advocate who used to work on a small family farm in British Columbia, Canada. He later found his way to veganism, then animal rights activism, and then became an undercover investigator with Mercy for Animals. He documented and exposed the abuse farm animals suffer every day in modern farms and slaughterhouses across Canada. In 2019, Geoff was part of a team that rescued Penny and other hens from an egg farm in British Columbia. She and many others had fallen through the slats in the floor down into the manure pit. She was completely stuck in the manure, unable to move or even stand. She was so weak. She was simply left for dead to drown in all the excrement or die of thirst or starvation. Geoff brought Penny home, got her the veterinary care she needed, and restored her to health. And the transformation was amazing. You can watch it on the YouTube video I'll link in the show notes, or simply go to YouTube and search Penny's story. It's beautiful. Penny's veterinary care included getting her hormonal implants that suppressed her ovulation for 4 to 6 months at a time to give her little body a break from the cruelty that was bred into her. It allowed her to avoid the pain associated with laying her eggs and the related health complications. Because in nature, a hen would normally lay only a dozen or so eggs every year in springtime. However, egg-laying hens have been genetically selected to lay between 300 and 400 eggs a year. Not surprisingly, this puts an enormous strain on their little bodies, including significant losses of calcium and prolapses, where their insides basically get pushed outside because of laying so many eggs. They're just so very weak. Once Penny was rescued, her life was transformed living with Geoff. Geoff's life was transformed living with Penny. He describes her as sensitive and sweet, inquisitive, intelligent, and shy. Best of all, she was able to live a normal life, doing all the things chickens do, exploring the yard, scratching in the dirt, preening, and dust bathing. And while the other hens preferred to spend the night in the shed, Penny came to the house when she was ready for bed, waiting for the door to be opened so she could come inside. She followed Geoff through the house to her bed, in his bedroom where she slept. In the morning, she'd start peeping and hop up on the bed to wake him up, asking to be let outside to do her chicken thing during the day. Sadly, Penny passed away a couple of weeks ago on May 15th, 2021, at a fraction of her normal lifespan, like all hens used by humans for their eggs. Here's the eulogy Geoff posted about Penny. It's today's plant-based briefing. Penny's Eulogy by Geoff Regier. On Saturday afternoon, Penny passed away. She died from health complications related to having been genetically selected to produce so many eggs. Penny's life mattered by the mere fact of her capacity for misery and joy. Her life mattered no more and no less than any other hen hidden behind the walls of factory farms. The difference between Penny and the billions of hens we will never meet is the fact that we knew her. We saw her capacity not only for fear, pain, and misery, but also for excitement, curiosity, joy, and trust. We saw her desire to express natural behaviors like dust bathing, preening, roosting, and scratching in the dirt. We saw her desire for companionship, safety, comfort, and even the capacity to form emotional bonds with species other than her own. Penny's first 2 years of life were spent on a typical modern-day egg farm, not only trapped in a wire cage, but also trapped in a body she did not choose. Her body was designed not for her own health or well-being, but rather to maximize the production of eggs. Instead of laying the normal and natural 12 to 15 eggs per year as wild hens do, Penny's little body was genetically selected to produce between 300 and 400 eggs per year. Whether an egg-laying hen dies on a farm or is sent to a slaughterhouse after a year and a half when her body is worn out, genetic selection is the reason for their early death. This was ultimately the reason for Penny's premature death as well. Penny was uniquely quiet, shy, insecure, and sweet. The majority of her 6-year life was characterized by happy days of exploring the outdoors, foraging in the grass, dust bathing, stretching her wings in the sun, content and free to satisfy her own instinctual desires. Despite having worked in many egg farms before ever meeting Penny, knowing her has changed the way I see other chickens. They all share the same desire for safety, to be free from pain, to form relationships and community, and to have autonomy over their life. They all have distinct character traits and preferences that make them individuals. When looking into the eyes of other chickens, you can know in a feeling way that there is an entire someone there, with their own unique and complete experience of the world. They are all Penny. Thank you to everyone who no longer consumes eggs or other animal products, and thereby spares countless others like Penny from the horror of factory farms and slaughterhouses. A special thank you to everyone who donated to cover her medical expenses and the many people directly involved in Penny's rescue, rehabilitation, and care. You just listened to Penny's Eulogy by Geoff Regier. I'll put a link to Geoff's Instagram in the show notes where you can follow him and look back over so many adorable videos and photos from Penny's time with Geoff. And I highly recommend Penny's story on YouTube. Jump over and just search Penny's story and it'll come up. It's absolutely beautiful. Chickens are such amazing little beings, but sadly, they're some of the most abused and misunderstood as well. If you want to learn more, there's a free webinar about chickens tomorrow where you can learn about the complex lives of these adorable birds, as well as the detrimental consequences, both to your health and the planet, of eating their flesh and their eggs. You'll also learn about the risks of avian flu and zoonotic diseases due to consumption of chickens and their eggs. Registration for the webinar is free, and the videos will be available online afterwards. Register and find the videos at either humanehoax.org or upc-online.org. I'm your host, Marian Erickson, and this is Plant-Based Briefing. Thanks for listening.